Welcome to the Essence of Liberty podcast. This is the horsemanship podcast where we discuss all things liberty to help you understand, connect, communicate, and play with your horse in a gentle, subtle, and force-free way. We'll get a bit nerdy about equine psychology and learning theory to understand the science behind it all. And we'll also dive into how to motivate your horse, ways to strengthen your relationship, solving those common problems, and how to use liberty as a way to build your horse up physically, mentally, and emotionally, all in half an hour or less. I'm Dr. Nadine Lindblom, former equine veterinarian, and I'd like to invite you to join me on this journey as a student of the horse. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Essence of Liberty podcast. And this is going to be a pretty short episode because I wanted to just take a moment to talk about this very common mistake that I see really often when it comes to positive reinforcement training. And I would love for you to not make the same mistake. And this is to do with the pouches or the bags or whatever it is that you carry the food rewards in. I see all too often people having very inconvenient food reward or ways of carrying the food rewards, or the pouches themselves are really inconvenient. And what happens is that it's really difficult to grab the food reward. So the most important part when you're looking for a bag that's going to carry your food rewards, whether it's a bag that you have around your waist, maybe it attaches to your belt, maybe you have it over your shoulder, whatever it is, it just needs to be really easy to grab the food reward. And it sounds straightforward, but this is really important because you need to be able to reach into the pouch and get a food reward very quickly, especially in the beginning when you are first introducing your horse to this type of training, because your timing needs to be on point. You need to use your bridge signal and you need to follow it up with a food reward very quickly. And what I see very often is that people are stuffing their pockets with the food rewards, or they have a bag that is kind of like too small, or it's just designed in a very inconvenient way that you have to really fumble or like dig down in the pocket, or maybe undo a zip, or really try to get your hand in and grab the food reward. And it just delays the entire process and creates a lot of fluff in the process. And that means that the process is not as clear as it can be to the horse. So when you are choosing your bag that is going to carry the food reward, please just make sure that it is designed in a way where you can literally just put your hand in, grab a food reward, and give it to your horse, so that it's a very quick process. If you have like a jacket that has big pockets, and I see this so often that you reach into the pocket and the pocket kind of gets stuck on your hand. So you have to use two hands in order to grab the food reward, because when you lift your hand out of the pocket, the whole jacket sort of lifts with it. And then you have to take your other hand and hold the jacket down while you pull your hand in the pocket out. And it's just so inconvenient. It causes so much fumbling. It causes so much fluff. It delays the process, makes it unclear to your horse and more difficult. So just make sure that you have a food reward pouch that is really easy to use and it's very easy to maneuver. It's easy to get your hand in and out very quickly, especially if it's at the very beginning of you doing this type of training. Just wanted to take a moment to talk about that because I just see it way too often. I personally prefer a bag that sits around my waist and it has a zip, so I can easily like unzip and grab a food reward if I want it, and it sits very securely around my waist as well. So if I run or if I move, it's not like flopping around too much, because that can really cause a problem in that you are running a little bit more hesitantly or a little bit more clumsily because you have this bag that's kind of like dangling or flopping around, or you're trying to avoid the food from falling out of it or something like that. So just make sure that it's easy to use and that it sits securely, and also that it's a fairly decent size. If you use a really small pouch, you're only going to be able to have some food rewards in there. And if you're using something like hay cubes, they're pretty big, and you want to give a generous amount each time you give a food reward. So if you're using hay cubes, you want to give not a whole cube, but you give like a slice, enough for them to chew it. and for them not to just be able to take it and swallow it and be ready for the next one. The whole goal is for them to chew it. And if you have a really small pouch, you're going to be refilling that pouch like every 2 minutes. And every time you go to refill that pouch, it causes a little bit of a disruption in the session. So that's just all that I wanted to say about the food rewards pouches. Just make sure that they are easy to grab the food reward, that they are secure, and that they are big enough that you don't have to go and do refills like every couple of minutes. All right, that's all from me. Bye.